Have you heard, this isn't really gonna be, the dominant theme of this talk won't be recovery, but that's where
And
I
that's
come.
okay. Yeah, no, he just felt that I might get a little something out of this, and I asked him what it was, and he wanted me to come up with my own opinion. So
Great, how are you?
here I am.
There you are.
There are recovery-oriented meetings on Tuesday and Thursday mornings.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thank
this
you.
meeting is loosely on the topic of what they call non-duality, yes? Which
And
is,
I asked him about that, and he said, "You go look and listen." And so here I am.
that was probably pretty good, yeah, yeah. Nice to see you again, yes, yeah. We have some guest appearance today. That's good. Yeah. Celebrity, yes. Oh, there's Donna. I haven't seen Donna in a while. How are you, Donna?
I just came to say hi to you. I miss you so much.
Oh, that's good.
Oh gosh. Someday I'll get out to California.
Yeah, well, we go back east also. Not
Oh,
today. Yeah, we go back east in this late spring. I'll be back in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts.
oh,
Yeah.
I'll check that out, see if I can
If
fly
you're out
out.
every once in a while, go to Zen Bitch Slap. There'll be an announcement.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. You got your hair cut and everything?
Yeah, I'm growing it out. Short wasn't my thing.
You're not growing it out, obviously.
I am.
No.
This is about 2 inches longer than it was.
You're just not cutting it.
That's correct. You're right.
Yes.
I'm not cutting it.
How the language does it,
That's correct.
growing it out. Yeah. Sounds nonchalant. It's innocent in a way, but it
Yeah.
has a job. It keeps reinforcing that we have something to do with a lot of shit we have nothing to do with. One of the obvious ones is growing hair. Yeah. I don't go to growing hair classes, do I? Have to do is refrain, except for the people from the Temple of Lost Hairs. If you have hair, all you gotta do is not cut it. If you don't have hair, I have great pity for you, really. But that's the Temple of Lost Hairs. But yeah, you know, it's just a funny thing with language, but if you watch it, obviously because we have a quality of hearing, and then that quality can be seen as listening. And what we listen to matters in a sense because of our unbelievable ability to give everything all the meaning it has. Yeah. From the course. So if we're hearing all this implied responsibility or assumed precedent, like I'm before everything and I'm either doing it or being done to by it and stuff like that. If that's in place, it's not hard for that rock to roll. It just keeps rolling downhill and you keep supporting it without knowing. And so like in a dualistic experience, which what this message is about is negating the reality of the dualistic experience. Yeah. In other words, yes, there's light, but the light has gone through a lens, which is us. And now we're seeing light as differentiated light, and it has a dualistic nature, which is sometimes what you're doing is having the opposite effect of what you are hoping it was going to do. Yeah, and this is a trick when it comes to this message, because if something is not seen and yet it's listened to, but not seen, then in a way, that firm in faith in this something else, your head is made to be you, which is this idea of a noun or the doer, thinker, the feeler. Yes, this center of the universe in a way. Yeah. So firm in faith in that, yes, is the act of denial of what we are. Now, if you stop someone today and go, are you in the act of denying what you are? Probably not, unless you're been pulled over by the cops or something, and then you have some false aliens, which I've had before. So you would be denying what you are, but in this case, there's an activity, the head's in an activity, you are either aware of it or not aware of it. There's awareness, period, but you cannot be aware of this activity. And this is what became the most important part of the hearing of non-duality, was the warnings of what happens when I hear non-duality. Yeah. And in my journey in time here, it became the most important thing, and I never moved from there. Yeah, whatever was informing me of stuff informed me. If you don't see this, you're looking from. Yeah, if you don't see this activity of the head, you're going to be starting life from that looking point. Yeah, and there's a whole lot before it, and you're going to be unaware of it, and you're going to think that before it is a goal you're going to get to after, like transcendence or fucking authentic reality, or merging in something. You're already, those dreams of becoming, you already are that. Yeah, but see, when this puts you in a position of time and space, the great before is not noticed, and so the before becomes a goal you want to arrive at after. And all you can do is make conceptual ideas, because there's a sense of something, and so the head just conceptualizes it, and now you're using what you're seeking for to seek for it. Yeah, and it's going to be found, not now without any effort or thought, but later through a lot of effort and thought. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? So your being becomes something that you're going to have to become, and that becoming can be a big fucking chore. Because a lot of times when you're feeling like you're getting close to the point of becoming, merging into being, you failed the test. And then your peg gets put back about 30 squares, and then it's working again. I feel it, it's so close. I'm gonna no, and then you do something or don't do something. And basically, the fallacy of arriving at where you already are is always disguised, because you never arrived there. Yeah. You keep thinking you arrive, but there's an next day on. And so the thing keeps getting pushed ahead. You don't understand it's like, it always seems to be arm length, because you're like this. Yeah. So, yeah, you can't ever close the gap, because it's like this. So this idea, if you hear it, that you're never going to get it, it's very disarming. Yeah. And a lot of false responsibility gets lifted on this poor thing. It's like, this is like a half-ton pickup that's like 4 tons have been put on it. It's not, it can't do it. Yeah, it's outmatched, it's over its pay scale. And then but it believes it should do it, it could do it, it's gotta do it. And it's just a lot of whipping, a lot of whipping, and you can't move it, basically. You can't get out of what you're not in. So hopefully this message brings you to a futility. That's the hallelujah, really. To tend to go to the limits of understanding. You're not going to understand it. It's not commerce. You're going to get it, maybe lose it, and then get it again. You're not getting it, nor are you losing it. Yeah. Yes. It's like the gateless gate. So is it a gate if it's gateless? Obviously no. Yeah. Open secret. Is any secret still a secret when it's open? No. Secret means it's special and it's kept to, So an open secret means there's no secret in it. A gateless gate means there's no gate. So if there's no gate, there's no toll booth, no toll taker, no this, no that, no this fast track, none of this shit. Yeah, it's just the whole thing doesn't just from this misunderstanding, which happens here. One tiny misunderstanding, it's like a crevice in the cement and something can grow out of it. If the right seeds have been there, waiting its time, a little crevice, a little crack, it doesn't even have to, it can make a crack. And then that thing's gonna bud right out of that cement, yeah? So it's just these little seeds of misunderstanding grow in time and space, they can. So that which we are becomes a goal where we want to arrive at. the we that we're not. You see it? And so they throw us a simple warning, just like in recovery. And this was a well-earned one. People in recovery, after attempting to follow the program, realized some profound freaking thing, and it got filtered into the communities. It doesn't come out of the book. It wasn't an edict or a 10 commandment thing, but it was an observation of all these people who were getting relief from alcoholism. And that observation was self can't get out of self. So the underlying addiction is to self. It wasn't drugs or alcohol. And that addiction is an act of being identified as self. So when that act of being identified as self is going on, you're not aware of it mostly, almost everyone isn't. And then you get an objectified self that you want to escape from, but as self. You see? So now you have a history of what has defeated you. I went to jail, I got run over, and every time I got in trouble, I was drinking. Not every time, I didn't get in trouble every time I drank, but every time I got in trouble, I was drinking. Yes. So you're starting to see something. So now they give it a name self. So, all right, I know I've got the policeman did the composite drawing. I recognize it. I'm at the post office. There it is. That's what defeated me, the self. Yes. Yet I'm seeing it. I'm thinking about it. I wanted to get out of it as it. I'm just another mirror image of it, which is duality. Yeah. So there's the objective bad side, and now there's the subjective thing going, oh no, that was very bad. Yes, and we've got to get out of it or fucking put it away or do something. Yeah. So I can get on with the real act living here, but it's self. Self can't get out of self. Beautiful recognition. Same thing hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Same saying. Basically, same statement. It's describing the same situation. Yeah. You're taking yourself to be something that you're not. Yeah. And then you're taking to want to get out of something that you're not. And you try to get out of what you're not as what you're not. Yeah. So you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha because you're the Buddha. That's all. It's a simple thing. Can't use mind to seek mind. It's not 800 pages of seminars. It's because you're mind, big M mind. Yeah. Can't use light to seek light because you're light. That's simple. Yeah. Not a big, set off tons of debate. It's not a debate. It's a simple proclamation with an invitation. Hey. And why would anyone ever talk about you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha unless we're the Buddha? It wouldn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Really, why would you want to ruin somebody who's recognized the plight of itself and in this life and got some recognition that why nothing is satisfying because it's temporary, everything is empty, everything comes and goes. Why do you want to ruin that parade by saying, hey, you can't use Steve to practice Buddhism to get the attributes of the Buddha? Yeah, makes total sense for Steve to do that, but Steve's the Buddha. Yeah, Steve's the Buddha. So if Steve's the Buddha, being Steve using Buddhism may be actually obscuring the fact of being the Buddha, not reinforcing that fact of being the Buddha. The practices are reinforcing the non-fact of being Steve, unbeknownst to Steve. So Steve is digging a hole to get out of Steve as Steve. Yeah, yeah. This is the assumption of non-duality. You like it or not, it's pretty much it. It says the great godfather of non-duality put it exactly this way. Hey, the greatest mystery being ourselves reality. You hear that? It didn't say the greatest mystery being ourselves Paul, John, Chrissy, Alan, yes, Johnny. No, the greatest mystery being ourselves reality. Not Paul, not Alan, not Chris, but reality. So the greatest mystery is based on being ourselves reality, wanting to attain reality. And he says, someday this is going to land on you. And when that day happens, you're going to laugh your balls off. I'm paraphrasing. And he says, why not? How about right now? So, and this is what happens. Laughter comes with the frustration. Usually you would think anger would, and that would be when it's the idea of self getting frustrated, not getting what it wants. But when you realize there can't be a getting of what you already are, that frustration just produces an incredible hallelujah. Yeah. You're just like, yeah. And now the weight of having to be liberated, you're relieved of that need to be liberated. Yeah, because you are what you're looking for. You just got it on a dog shit level. Yeah. It isn't like you are what you're looking for when you get a little bit better or you get, no, it's you are what you're looking for right now without any conditions or circumstances or resumes. Yeah, none of that's valid only unless you believe it. If you believe, like if someone calls me up, I had someone call me, I think yesterday. If you have a need to do something, you better do it because you're reality, really. So if reality thinks it really needs to do something, who am I to argue? Yeah. But if I'm sitting here and I don't have a need to do anything, I don't do anything. To me, it's the appropriate response. How I heard this message, the appropriate response I've been following for 20-something years, I don't do shit concerning whatever. I don't. I haven't read a spiritual book. I can't do shit. I lost interest in it all. Fantastic. Where is that interest going? I have no idea. I don't follow it, but I know something's enriching my day. Yeah. Hold on a second. What? No. Meditated. I feel meditated. I don't feel like that meditates. I don't. No. But I feel meditated. I feel the I am is I aming. That's the greatest chant of all. Yeah. And you don't have to, the greatest chanter in the world couldn't keep up with the I am. You just can't. You would forget or go somewhere. The I am is unforgettable. You're on constantly, right? I'm going to take a few minutes to feel on. You're on. What? Just every second you're on. The head always wants to think it has an option. There's no option in being what you are. You have no option in this. It's not like I can do anything to change it or I can do anything to make it better. You can seem like you're doing a lot of shit, but when push comes to shove, you came in unknown and you're going to leave unknown. You know, it's going to be like nothing ever happened here. Yeah, shit, yeah. I mean, the greatest surfers are going to, be wearing board shorts in heaven. It's all this shit's forgotten. There's nothing like, yeah. I had such a great time in time. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be entertained in timelessness. I don't. I've died a lot. I've died medically a few times. And I don't remember really wishing to come back. And I don't see anyone I used to see here that's left. So I don't think it's a huge vacation spot in the universe. I don't recognize anybody. Everyone, all the people I know died. I've never seen them again. Sort of tells me something. It's a great space. I think I would want to come back. I don't see any of them. Yeah. So if you need to meditate, meditate. Yeah. If you see that you're being meditated, that's another form of meditation. That's meditation without a meditator. That's all. And it's better to start without the meditator than to try to get out of being the meditator. Because the meditator, once you get introduced to an idea of meditation, the head has gotten introduced to that idea of meditation. And every moment, every time you prepare your moment of meditation, it's already prepared to call itself the meditator. Yeah. Before you hit the cushion, it already has you as the meditator. And the meditator, the noun is going to eclipse whatever you do as the verb. Yeah. You're not going to, I do not believe you can meditate yourself out of the meditator. I don't. I do not believe you can think yourself out of the thinker, do yourself out of the doer, feel yourself out of the feeler. I just don't see it.
Meditation doesn't work like that, right?
What?
It's about letting you've done it, so you know what it's like. I mean, it's not the end, but you do settle I mean, you don't grab.
Well, you
your
don't
meditation.
settle. You don't
It
settle.
settles.
The
It
action
settles.
figure settles.
It settles.
Yes.
Right, it settles.
Yes.
And
the
that,
action figure.
and that can become closer to a habit, so it's useful while it's useful. I don't do a lot of formal meditation anymore, but I certainly don't eschew the fact that I've done thousands of hours of it. I think it helps my brain a lot.
Of course, but the thing is, if you are settled with everything being unsettled. Yeah,
Right.
so you're not looking for a relief from the unsettled. You're settled whilst the unsettled is appearing,
Right,
yes?
yeah,
Yes.
well, that's why I'm
exactly.
here.
So if my blood pressure goes up, meditation is good for the action figure. It is. I don't call it that. I lay down. Yeah, that's what I do. But I'm talking about whatever you do, there's a claiming of it, no matter what it is, by the mental activity.
I get that.
And if you don't see it, it's gonna get down to its business,
Right.
and it's going to affect what's going on. And what you're thinking may be going on will not be what's going on. Yes, so the whole point is, it's meditating, not meditating. I don't care. It's the idea of you being the one who's doing it, or you not doing it, yeah? So you can have a sense of being the one not doing it as much as doing it. Yeah, but it's easier to let go of the sense of not doing it because you're not doing it. Where it can be a little more difficult when you're doing it to give up the idea of being the doer.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So in a way, just like people have triggers that get you to get loaded or something like that. Yeah, they trigger something and then you find yourself doing something. Certain things trigger it a whole lot more than not doing anything. So if you're not doing anything, nothing gets fucking triggered, yeah? And then there's an acceptance of being unsettled because it's not you that's unsettled. To me, what gets unsettled is the condition of the action figure and the brain and shit like that. And then it gives meaning to the unsettled to mean I'm disconnected, and then it's driven to try to get connected again. I don't see that. Yeah. I don't. So what used to trigger me to do certain shit doesn't trigger me anymore, and therefore I don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. When you were a kid, were you wanting to meditate? No. You were in meditation. It's when the head grew and you started feeling uncomfortable quite a lot in your own skin, then we looked for ways to get relief from that. So there's certain ways, a lot of ways, and some of them work for people better than others. And then, but when you start seeing that you're not of the unsettled, yes, you are not of the unsettled. It's not you. There's a loss of interest in that. And so the interest that would trigger actions doesn't trigger that action anymore. It just doesn't. I don't reach for the fire alarm like I used to, because I don't see the house is on fire, or at least I don't see it's my house and I'm not in the fire. Yeah. So there's no fire alarm goes off. And so I don't do anything. Yeah. And I'm sure I get completely unsettled. I mean, both knees were screaming yesterday, which was unsettling. But did I need to, I don't try to calm down. I spray magnesium on the knees. You know what I mean? It's the knees that need help. I don't need help. I spray shit on the knees and it takes away the pain, and then I'm fucking works better. I don't try to drink magnesium. It's not me. Yeah, this is the beauty of it. So yes, I don't have any problem with meditation, but if meditation is very meaningful to you, then the adhesion that's going to lead to the bonding of self is going to be stronger. That's all. Because I thought when I meditated, could you not go on the phone during satsang? Thank you. Yeah. When I had a thought or an idea of meditation, I thought it was much more important than doing the dishes, for sure. And a lot of things. And I noticed when my head gives an importance to something, it likes that surface to adhere to. So the idea of the spiritual identity grew quickly, yeah, over the husk of the addictive identity. Yeah, it's like it was like parathane sprayed on a lot. But I mean, I got into an idea of thinking I was a meditator or this or that, which was sort of like a noose that's hanging you, but it's looser. You don't have which I like to know I'm getting hound. I like, it's better, like, if you're an addict and alcoholic, someone's gonna intervene on your ass sooner or later. Your family, the police get run over. The loose noose is, yeah, so. Yeah, so meditation, if you feel like it's great, great. I feel more. Don't you feel meditated? Don't you? Don't you? You're sitting here. You're not seeing, but they're seeing. You're not hearing, but there's hearing. You're not existing, but there's existing. Yeah. Not like I want to know existence. I want to be the one who's hearing, you know? To me, it's very disarming. And did you ever notice when you used to meditate, once you got into a good groove, you'd want to get up, or you forgot the laundry, or the stove was on, or shit like that? You were willing to sit for 13 hours, but if you ever went into the light, you fucking flipped out immediately. But as you were still, it'd be there, you know, I mean, yeah. So I feel non-duality brings you to that point where you wanted to arrive to. I think you are that point, yeah? So it doesn't take much to get there because you never left. And it's just losing belief in all this stuff the head tells us, you know, like I am independent, separate, having private thoughts, and I am disconnected. But you're not. And then when you're connected, that connected is used to reinforce the disconnected. So just like if you take 4 times a day, take 10 minutes 4 times a day to sense the presence, what is your head saying that's happening the other 23 hours and 20 minutes? It's saying you're not present. So, all right, I'm basically reinforcing that I'm not present when I sit for 10 minutes 4 times a day to feel the presence. What are you doing the rest of the time? Not feeling the presence? Do you see it? See how the head uses something that looks innocent, but it uses it to reinforce something else? This is duality. Yeah, so. Yeah. So meditating, no meditating. It only matters to the meditator, literally. So if you're a meditator, what happens if you don't meditate? I remember when I became a meditator, and if I missed my morning meditation, I try to make it up at lunch because I believed my day was going to be bad because I hadn't meditated. Is that peace? That sounds like a transaction. That which is playing God, now I have to meditate to keep it off my back. If I blew it in the morning, I got to go home at lunch, get the candles on fast, the incense. Got to go to work. Okay, and then it sort of sounded like something was playing God. Yes. Yeah. How do you recognize that which is playing God? It's playing God. What we're talking about is something being, not playing. Being inherently always there at all times with no requirement necessary. Playing God, wow, a lot of fucking requirements. A lot of deals, a lot of conditions, a lot of tests failed just to have more tests to follow. Yes.
That's what it feels like. It feels like the action figures is God playing with the action figures. It feels all like ultimately like it's all play. It is play. It's play. It's when
Yes.
there's no me in the center, you know, the center. When there's no center, it feels like.
Well, then it should, again, but see, because it's a feeling, it's not always going to feel playful. Even if it's a statement, everything is playful. as a feeling here in this dreaming, it's not always gonna feel playful,
The
does it?
shadow has to be recognized in the face.
Who faces the shadow?
I think the lighting, I think it's exposed to this, it's like the lighting.
That's duality right there, shadow and light.
Yeah, but I'm really sensitive about spiritual bypass. I don't think there's ever gonna, for me, this is very personal, but it feels like there's like a couple of shoes that need to drop. The first is disidentifying from the person. But there's no liberation until the person the psychological person has been resolved. And there's the first shoe, I'm not the person, but there's still that cycle of those addictions and those shadow work before there's liberation. That's my,
All right.
yeah. You can't bypass the psychological bottom line complex of the action figure and go straight to non-duality. Maybe some people can. It hasn't been, maybe it's your experience, but that hasn't been.
All right.
Well, you said something, I would say equivalent to that on Tuesday. I mean, you talked about how people use non-dualism to bypass.
Yeah.
Not people, but
that's
heads.
not that's not all non-dualism. That's when you use non-dualism or the attempt at non-dualism to bypass when you need, and you mentioned 12-step work. So it's not that you don't recognize something like that could happen. It's not as
No,
formal as which I mean,
Yeah.
Deanna was talking about, you don't like make a law out of it, but you mentioned it as a possibility that people could recognize.
no.
Did
What
I
we would-
misunderstand?
Yes, you
this?
misunderstand this. First of all, light and shadow is duality in a sense. Liberation isn't realized through requirements. Yeah. I'm just gonna share what I think.
Sure.
You shared what you feel. I'm gonna share it. It's not a debate. I'm just gonna share it. And there's no, non-duality isn't going anywhere.
Right.
Non-duality is
Here.
all here, all encompassing. Appearances are occurring, which obviously are of non-duality, but not as they appear. Yeah. The relevance given to all this stuff is a body-oriented relevance. Can be necessary. Doesn't have to be necessary. It's not based on the body, it's based on mind. If mind wants to dream itself out of the body, through the body, great, yeah. But mind has no requirements set that certain things have to be done for something that's already there, already is to become. Yes, I'm not a believer in it. That's all. I'm just saying, it's not personal. But here we are, I'm gonna combat stuff because I don't believe it. Yeah, it's not meaning, yeah.
I think how I misunderstood you was you were talking to a specific person.
Yeah, when I'm talking about people using non-duality, they're using a concept
Yeah,
called non-duality.
Yeah.
They're not using non-duality.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's-
non-duality doesn't have any handles.
Right.
You can't use it. Doesn't have a trigger or an edge to sharpen to use or a fucking wrench or anything. It's just something. The head, having an idea of non-duality, can use that idea, which is of the head. Has nothing to do with non-duality, to try to get out of seeming responsibilities it feels are weighing it as an action figure. And it can use anything. It uses everything. It uses whatever it comes in contact with. Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, anything. It just does it. Now, the effect it can produce is based on our interest in it. It's not based on its activity. Its activity is driven or given life by our interest and attention. And that interest and attention is going to it unknowingly based on the claiming of the head of everything that's going on and taking its image of us as us, and then having us be lived by this narrative. Yeah. At that point, what it's claiming is having an effect, because you are now taking yourself to be the doer when any doing goes on. And the power of it, which would be minimal if it was this moment doing occurred and this moment doer occurred, it would be easy to bypass that, yes, or just step over it. But this moment doing occurring, and then the head claiming this as the doer, it says it's a historical doer.
Right.
So it uses weight of time that has been amassed from how many years you've been alive. And when you see you're the doer of this now, you feel like you've been the doer of a lot of shit for a long time, you see? And then it uses that, and it starts being concerned and starts living a forecast of the future as the doer, thinker, feeler, taster, toucher that's coming from the past. Yeah? So your concerns are actually driven by a past put into a future. Yes. Yet when shit hits the fan right now, those concerns have no effect. If something terrible happened to you,
Well,
you're fucking
sure.
completely awake right
But
now.
sure.
Had it many times. When you're afraid, if this ever happens, I'm so afraid. So when it actually happens, there's no fear there. No fear. You get into a car accident, it's like fucking a pause. You're waiting, time slows down. You're waiting for your car to hit the guardrail to see how bad it was. And you could be like twiddling your thumbs. It's going so slow. You're going like this, and it's just, and there's no, all the worry about it did not capture what was going to happen because you're fucking awake like this. Yeah. And then bammo, it hits. And then the head comes out, and then, oh, I got to do this and do that. Yeah, exactly. So, and I love bypass. I wish, man, if I would bypass completely all the time, I would just go around the whole board and go, go right to the beginning. I'm not a believer in this myth, I feel, a weird connotation given to bypass. I mean, the whole point is to bypass time and space. Yeah. How are you going to bypass this as being when you think recognizing a being is bypassing it, and it can only be through doing that I'm going to arrive at the recognizing of being? Yeah. So I've got to drive in the slow lane to get to the fast lane. Why not realize you're in the fast lane? Yeah, so that's about that. So yeah, it's not, I don't want to have, we can have the debate at the cafe, but I don't have that non-duality completely negates the battle between light and dark. The battle between light and dark,
So
maybe.
There's no shadow at all?
I don't believe there's a shadow. There can be an appearance of a shadow as long as this is appearing. They're both
So when
appearances.
you were drug addict, that there was no shadow at play there?
No, I was completely in the dark. There was no fucking shadow play.
That didn't.
I was immersed in bottom. Yeah, there was no me in the shadow. It was addiction, raw addiction.
Okay, so it's just vernacular. I mean, I'm using the word shadow, but you're calling it addiction.
But you're saying, no, what happened, what I'm talking about, the requirements you were putting up, for you to be liberated, you have to go and make terms with these shadows, didn't you say?
Experiential.
You said you had these things have to be dealt with. No?
I said in my experience.
Oh, all right, well,
There
that's,
was at least two shoes, probably more shoes, but the first shoe to drop was the disidentification with the me, but that wasn't liberation. That was a freedom, but that wasn't liberation. There was still a sense of like the psychological me sort of exposing the inner sort of.
so you want to
the
be
inner
liberated,
mechanics.
you want to be liberated from the psychological you.
I felt there was a healing sort of.
That's
stuff
different.
going on.
Liberated and healing are
There
different.
was needing.
Well,
From an experience.
all right, then if you feel you need to heal, then you go about looking for that heal. But the liberation isn't based on that healing. The liberation is from that healing. It's not based on that healing happening. The liberation is based on liberating from that feeling that I have to be whatever. This is the liberation we're speaking about.
Yeah.
The liberation is before the need to get liberated.
There were-
It's liberated from all
I don't
this.
think it's a one size fits all revelation.
I do, because,
Wow.
yes, I completely do.
Wow.
Because this is before things, before sizes and degrees. It's a loss of interest in sizes and degrees, closeness, farness, casting big shadow, casting small shadow. It's a loss of interest of the fulcrum of all that activity, which is self, this idea.
So
Mhm.
it's like love. It's like love, you know, like loving the action figure, loving the manifestation. It's a celebration of.
Are you gonna come to the cafe after?
I didn't feel it.
Are you?
I
Will
don't
you?
know. I
Will you?
don't know.
Loving, but who's loving?
Because
Just
then we
loving.
can discuss.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to discuss in this particular forum.
Okay.
No, I
mean,
think
there's
this is
all-
beautiful. I think
I
it
think
is
it's
beautiful,
too.
because
I
it just
like
got to the
discuss it.
point. The point is, yes, idea of liberation and freedom.
Love, radical.
No,
self-love.
that's not the idea we're
It's
speaking of.
unnameable.
No,
It's
that
so-
may be a
it's
quality,
nice.
but that's not what the target is. The target is what you were speaking of. Well, the relief from the need to be liberated and the need to be patient or whatever to wait to be free. It's the freedom from that. That's what that's the message. The message isn't about putting something off until certain things are done, because the only thing that's holding that up is what you're not. Yes. You don't have to change what was the theater that was playing horror movies, doesn't have to go into a giant paint job and curtains and new vinyls if it's going to show romantic comedy movies. It doesn't. It's the same screen, empty. Yeah, if you want to change the thing, it doesn't matter. Black curtains, red curtains, romantic comedies or horror. Yeah. For me to switch from horror to romantic comedies, I don't have to do anything. This is before it. It's just beautiful. You lose interest, just lose interest. That's all. That's all.
You're
Yeah, and
absolutely
so
right, Paul. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's so tasty. It's the one taste. It's.
and the one taste that isn't earned,
No,
nor is it developed.
you
It
don't have to
is.
buy it.
You don't fine tune it. It's dog shit awareness.
It's not transactional.
It's unintended.
No, I love this because
Here.
no, it works for me because it lets me riff on what I really see as non-duality and how other people see something differently. And if I would go to their meetings, I would hear their view of something. And if you come to this meeting, you're going to hear this view of something. And sometimes when people share their views, I'm very contrary to it because I just don't see it. That's all. Humbly, it's not personal. It's
No.
used, it comes through, and then it's perfect because it's exactly what it's not like for me. Exactly for what it's not like for me. What it's not, it's.
So what released you from the addictions, I guess? What was it?
I don't know, something grace. I got drugs over. What allowed me to stay sober was a way of life. Yeah. And in that way of life, you come to see your role in things, maybe the shadow role and the other role. Hold on. And then you see, for me, it was seeing something else's role, which was that which was appearing as the shadow and was appearing as the real. Yes, and I see neither of them. I see both of them as shadows.
Help when you disidentified from the addictions, when that first shoe of like, oh, I'm not that.
It helped greatly. I
Okay.
didn't disidentify it as the addiction. The addiction, the power of the addiction was muted to a point where I could come up and get some breath of air. I wasn't drowning all day. The radioactive isotope of addiction got removed. No human power could do it, me included. Something did it. Now, that wasn't going to be enough. So that night, life brought me through consequences to my first AA meeting, and I've been sober for 35 years now. So it was a beautiful gift. The long-term gift and the immediate gift was in the same package. Got the immediate whack, and then was introduced to the long-term gift of how that immediate whack could extend here in the action figure world, which led me to realize I was seeking relief from the action figure world as an action figure, when the relief was from the action figure. And I was relieved from the action figure, not the pursuit of getting relief for the action figure. I went through that with spirituality.
This is the crux of what you're talking about. I mean, this is.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of like the only thing you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Over and over again, every year, every second, every meeting. And so when people bring it up, and it's contrary to that,
But no matter what people say, you're always coming back to this, like there's only.
Exactly. most definitely, most definitely. And there's other people maybe saying something else, but I'm not going to their meetings. I've heard it all, and this is for me it. It was obviously it, and it told me that if my little seed assignment was to point out this mental activity, because the value is to know what you're not. That's where the knowledge is.
Disidentify.
No, it's not disidentifying, because that means you were identifying. That's duality. Identifying and disidentifying are the same cloth. We're not talking about that. That's what I'm saying. It's not recognizing you are identified and then try to be disidentified. That's self.
It's not. It's not trying. You're putting a projection onto the words. The
Oh, so
language.
you just found yourself disidentified.
It just dropped.
All right.
But that didn't mean ultimate, like all of a sudden, all the addictions were just gone and vanished, and I was this being of bliss and light. I mean, there was a drop. It felt like that was the first shoe to drop, and then there was a process that happened spontaneously of
A process that happens spontaneously.
resolving the psychological body and mind.
Spontaneously? Oh, a process. Oh, you had, well, this is how it went with you. Yeah. In this topic, to get this point across, I disputed, that's all. Yeah, I just see.
But I never said requirement.
See, this is what, if there was an identification as someone who is spiritual, then there would be an identification that I could be bypassing. Yeah. If you've lost interest in the identity of the one bypassing or not, yeah, to me, that's the greatest bypass. You bypass the duality of disidentifying, bypassing, not bypassing. You bypass all that before it, yeah, because what makes the importance of these two things is a singularity of individuality there. The sense of individuality makes it important. Am I bypassing? Am I not? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Yes. But if you get relief from that, the relief from there, it shows as a lack of fucking interest in it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like if I went to a spiritual tailor and I want to get a suit for my shadow, take the measurements, 9 feet, 12, yeah, but I don't give a shit. And I feel that's the relief. The relief isn't that the shadow, because I think as an object, you're always going to cast a shadow. This is duality. Yeah. If there's an object, it's going to cast a shadow. It is. Now, I would combine both of them as what I'm relieved of. Not one that is the one that gets relieved from the shadow, but relief from both aspects, light and shadow. Yeah. And what does that relief look like? I have no interest in it. Yeah. And I would have been, it's just, but I love when people come and share, because then it allows me to really emphasize what it means to me. Yeah, to me, what it means. Well, you're coming here to see me, eh? Yes, that's the point. Yeah. If I was sitting at a bar, I wouldn't be saying shit. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna walk up to someone, let me tell you, I don't do that. But here we set up a situation. If you show up here, I figure you want to hear satsang.
You're not right. It's not about being right.
Oh, I don't care about right or wrong.
It feels definitely an energy of like,
Oh, we've had this before. No, that's how you interpret the energy. What I'm defending is the message, not the messenger. I could care less. When people say certain stuff that I don't believe is anywhere near non-duality, I'm going to say something if I'm in the venue where I'm in. Yeah, just like if I have a friend and then I'm also his sponsor in AA, I'm going to say more to him because I'm a sponsor. That's a responsibility. If I'm just a friend, a lot of shit I let go, and we hang out there. But he's asked me to be of help to him, so then I'm going to point out shit to them. So here, you come here to satsang, I'm going to point out what's brought up to get across a point. Yeah, it's not personal. I don't care.
you put in the label of non-duality, and you have to be careful, like, this is non-duality. My take on it, this is non-duality.
No, it isn't. You can't have any non-duality. This is duality. That's what we're sharing about. You can't have a take on non-duality. That's the whole freaking point.
I'm hearing you when you're speaking. That's what I'm hearing when you're speaking.
I know, but it's not. Does everyone hear that? No. All right. So if we're in a democracy, there, but.
It feels very much to me like.
All right, yeah, everyone.
Non-duality.
Does everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anyone?
You took a vote without me.
No, you can vote. Yeah, she wants to know that I'm trying to be right about non-duality or something, right? Was that it?
Oh, such bullshit.
All right, there you
That's
go.
complete bullshit.
All right, but anyone else? No, this is beautiful. Raise your hands if you agree
Oh, Lord have mercy.
with what she said.
Joking, right? I mean, this is we're just playing.
Yeah, we're playing. Like you said, it's all playful. Yeah. All right.
This is God playing.
Yes, all right. Well, do you want to vote? Yes, all right.
Oh,
No
Lord
one-
have mercy.
You raised your hand. Yeah,
It should be obvious if I.
Okay, I'll raise my hand too.
all right. Oh, you're the block over there. Oh, the sheep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're the Q,
We're the
the
black sheep.
anti-Q.
Black sheep.
I'm so happy you're here. I am. I am happy you're here. This brings me back to my old Zen days. Luckily, I don't have a sword. First, I cut my head off and your head would go for sure, definitely. But first I cut my head off and then I take yours. I'm not right or wrong. I don't care. This is the message here. And yes, here, when I hear something that I do not agree with in this thing, and it's being held as non-duality, and that's not my sense of non-duality, I'm going to say something else.
Talk about first, there is no matter.
Well, yes, but that's the point. Yeah. So we've done this over, but
No parables will help in this case.
but yeah, we have there was an old Zen statement. Let's end with a high note. We're just playing. We're playing here and enjoying ourselves. We're celebrating. All right. So this is celebration. We're just gonna go free fall.
The gods.
I think it's time for a loving gaze. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't seen the transmission, you haven't even started. Seriously,
What?
you don't see the transmission?
No.
Okay, Well, good.
Not today, I have other days.
Yes, that's one, we were surprised to see you. I didn't know, I
I
thought,
remember you
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I mean,
We're having a lot of fun here today,
15 minutes. It's
Yeah.
Interesting.
but
I remember the kitchen discussion.
yeah. Anything else you'd like to share, hon?
No, I'm speechless.
All right, well, good. Maybe we should end soon, eh? I feel like I need a coffee. I do.
You, you wanna, it's a new person that,
Hmm?
you have a new person that brought a question with them that's had it since the beginning of the meeting, so.
All right, yeah, ask it.
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Hello, Khalil.
Yep.
Khalil.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, thank you for having me. So I've got a couple of questions, but I'll start with this one since it relates
Couple of
to the
questions.
topic that you were discussing. Yeah. So I hear this talk about this action figure. So if I'm not mistaken, it's like all activity is done by this action figure, including the seeking in itself, right?
No, the action figure allows something to happen through it. It's not doing anything. It's a non-existent thing. Yeah. So it's alive by or living by this I am, and then there's doing and seeing and feeling and tasting and touching, but it's not doing it under its own accord. Yeah.
Then why does it feel like it's me? Or is that
But
just a thought?
the head produces a sense of individuality. Yeah, and
I
then
see.
that sense of individuality is you're the doer, thinker, feeler, and then it's pictured as a body. Yeah, so when you're thought about as a doer, thinker, feeler, toucher, taster, when you're remembered or sensed as that, you're pictured as a body. Yes, in the mental activity. Yeah, so it's a mental activity that's using the body to verify something.
I see.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to the second question, which is about thought. Like what is it exactly, and what's the relationship with it? Because I'm sure
I don't
most
believe
people
there's a
can
self
relate
to
to
begin
this.
with. I believe it's selfing. So something is implied that never could be so. Yeah. So selfing, it's mental activity. I use the word self because coming out of recovery, where in recovery we see that which has defeated us is this idea of self. Yeah. But really, the idea of self is presented through selfing. So a mental activity, just like we had it with Donna in the beginning, that she was growing her hair or doing something with her hair. So it's just a nonchalant feeling, but it's got an agenda, which is verifying that you're the doer of a lot of shit you had nothing to do with. Yeah. So this is happening all the time. So the mental state is what's using the action figure to reinforce and verify an idea it has, which is all the verbing implies there's a noun doing it. So if there's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, there must be a seer, hearer, feeler, taster, toucher. Yes? So seeing triggers the idea of the seer. That's not a natural combination. There's seeing. And then the mental reaction is there's a seeing. There's a big gap between the seeing and the idea of the seer. Yet, when the seer is presented, it feels like it was before the seeing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So it uses space and time like a little trick. And so you watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like seeing happens, just happens naturally, and then there's some sort of cognition of that seeing, and that's where the action figures appears, maybe.
That's the mental activity. it's brought to contact through consciousness, let's say, and then it claims the contact to present a noun verb story, which is duality. Yeah. So it presents a subject object story, and a lot of us are living out that story, unbeknownst to us that it's a story. Yeah. And for many of us, it's not seemingly to be playful all the time and shit like that, because the story is like a fulcrum of a lot of meaning. Yeah. And the meaning really forbids communication because it's a subjective experience. I do not know what it's like in someone else's head and the volume of the thoughts in that head. I don't, because I know that thoughts do not have volume. It's the hearer of the thoughts that gives it the volume. And I can't do it justice how much volume is going on for another person. I can just follow what they say, and through what they say, I get a sense of where they seem to be. I have no problem knowing where they are, but the problem is recognizing where they seem to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
yeah. So there's selfing. It's a mental activity. It reacts to any verb as a noun, and then it puts itself before the verbs. And obviously, for that to be followed, it has to have a narrative, because it's not true, first of all. And so the narrative is that you're doing a lot of stuff or not doing a lot of stuff, yeah? And that the noun is the primary point and not the verbing, where actually all there is verbing, and the noun is like an add-on, a mental add-on. Yeah. The body does not think it's Paul. If Steve's eye was put into Paul's body, Paul probably wouldn't, there would be no argument, because the eye of Steve would facilitate seeing. Now, it could be seen as foreign, and then there would be a struggle, but it wouldn't be seen as Steve. And it wouldn't be seen from Paul. Yeah. So the idea of Paul is a fixation. And to me, when we're talking about addiction, that's the primary addiction. The
Right.
mental state is addicted to this idea of being a noun. Yeah. And there's a lot of costs available. Yeah. But the cherishing of self keeps us thinking it's a good deal, and basically out of ignorance. We don't know any better. Yeah. We believe, when I was about 3 or 4, I didn't know I was a doer at that time. And I was running around. It was a very profound moment, really, in this little life. I was running with the neighbor, this Nichols kid, both nude, 3 years old, 3.5, around the houses. There was an alley of grass between our 2 houses. And we were running around, having a great time. And then my mother stuck her head out of the kitchen window and yelled at me. And she looked like she was mad. And I took most of my direction from my mother, really. And it looked like I was bad. And then I could see my head finally had an object to look at, which was Paul. And then I started to feel uncomfortable from that point on, from about 4 on. And I usually had clothes on after that. Shit like that. So this occupation of the head doesn't have to stop for peace to be available, unless you want to get peace for the head. Yeah, if you're looking at peace for the head, then the head has a lot of requirements to have peace. But if you see peace is before the head and not based on your accessing it because you are there, is not based on the head's condition, hallelujah. Yeah, because if I'm waiting for my head to be ready to enjoy peace, I may be waiting a long fucking time, because I'll probably have a lot of ideas about what my head has to look like for it to enjoy peace. No thoughts or something like this. And to me, this delay tactic just goes on and on and on. I believe there's peace and there's discomfort. It's not peace or discomfort. You can have discomfort and be at peace with that. Yeah, so that's the point. Yeah. Anyone else? Adi? Wow, that's a nice name too. Adi,
Hi, thank you so much for speaking about this.
I can't hear you. Can you put your volume up?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you for doing this. I just have a couple of observations that I wanted to share, and you could correct me if there's anything that you disagree with. In the traditional non-duality circles, they talk of two realities: the transactional one, and then the absolute one. The relative reality is where, in your probable words, that non-dual entity is having these selves, multiple ones, which we are doing transactions with in our day-to-day life. And then there's this absolute reality, in which only that is the truth and everything else is not. From what you say, it appears that you're only talking about the absolute reality, correct?
No, I'm hoping I'm not talking about the absolute, and we're talking about the relative, with the hopes that you'll get the intimacy of the absolute.
But aren't you calling the relative as illusion?
Yes.
Right.
I'm hoping
So,
the absolute hears that.
yeah, the relative can never get to the absolute because the relative is illusion.
Yeah, of course not. Yes, but you don't have to get to the absolute because the absolute's here.
Yeah, it's the absolute that's selfing.
Yes. So the absolute can hear about the relative.
Yeah, and based on the conversation with the person there that you just had about doing something to get to somewhere. So do you agree that different selves in the relative reality are at different points to having this realization, you could say, about being an illusion themselves? And of course, I mean, there's nothing that the self can do to get there. It happens to the self. Where it is like the absolute realizes that the self is an illusion, and not the self that realizes it, right?
Yes, exactly.
And the different
The self
different
can't
self-
realize.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's the absolute that wakes up from the dream of self.
Yes.
Right. So, but that has to happen. I mean, that doesn't happen. Non-duality is so difficult with words. So
Well, it
please.
doesn't happen, period. It's always happening. So, but it doesn't happen. So, like Ramana said, they talk about realization, but what's real, the realization is it's always realized. So is there a realization? So the moment that you had the realization followed where you thought you didn't have a realization, but when the realization is it's always realized, then obviously that's mute, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you are too much drowned in the illusion, then you don't necessarily see that, right?
Yes, and that's why we're talking about that, because if you keep hoping for that to see that, you're going to be waiting a long time. Just to admit you're not that which can't see it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's not just an intellectual knowing.
Of course not, but it starts somewhere. So it's like in this case, you get to the real digestion of it, but it has to go through some mail slot. You got to hear about it or get whacked or something. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. No, well, just one more thing that I share. I thought.
Yeah.
So I come from a non-duality tradition, and this one follows the traditional non-duality, and we call it the qualified non-duality, where we say that the non-dual entity is qualified by the self and the matter, basically. So it's the self and the matter don't have an independent existence, but rather the non-dual entity appears as these two. So it is qualified by these two, which makes it easier to then talk about these things and the terminologies and everything.
What we do here is more, if there's any direction, is a negation of what we're not. Yes? Not by what you're not, obviously, like we just said. By seeing it from what you call the absolute, or let's say being, or big M mind, you see something that used to be taken to a point where it brought up an image of you. You see that as not you. Yes, you're aware of it. Yeah.
I think negating everything and then coming to that point where you're not associating yourself with anything and being in that unknowing, from that point on, there's still a little bit of jump to what you are.
Well, it doesn't matter. That would be done by grace.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, there you go.
You could negate. The negation can happen or be done by the self. But the understanding of what you are after you negate everything is not something that the self can do itself.
Yeah, see, but the self isn't negating. The self, it gets negated. So the self isn't that which is negating. That would be neti, and you're still there. After you say not this, not this, not this, and then but this. Yeah. No, this is a negation, not as an activity, but as as seeing from awareness, let's say. Yeah. So
yeah, that's the final step, right?
yes. So the awareness is seeing the activity that implies something that you're not. Yes.
But initially, when you have a very strong connection with the body, and you see yourself as the body, which is much more common in the Western traditions, to take yourself as the body and having a soul, there needs some work. Like the first step would be to know that you're not the body, right? And then the step would be that whatever you are that is not the body is an illusion that the absolute is having. Right?
I would just see what you're not. And then if it wants to add stairs, it will. If it doesn't, you may be on the ground floor. Yeah. That's how I see it.
No. I don't necessarily disagree with you.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying this is how we go about it. We just point out what we're not, and I have great faith that that's more than enough. And then things get revealed, and you realize there's nowhere to go, and if you get picked up from there, it's grace.
Yeah. In our traditions, we talk about this inescapable grace.
Yeah.
where like everybody has to come to this point at one point or the other because of grace.
Yeah, great. How about now? It's going to be now no matter when. So how about now? Yeah.
Unfortunately, not possible for everybody.
But we can dream, can't we? Yeah. Who knows what's possible and not possible?
Agreed.
Yeah. So you lose, let's say interest could be equated as value, right? So you lose interest or value in that which was valued a lot. Let's say understanding, intelligence, good moral background, all this or that. There's just a loss of interest in the value or meaning to those things. And then the meaning gets dispersed where value is seen in everything. Yeah. So I think the greatest successes for most of us are what would be deemed as the greatest failures from the head's point of view. Yeah, because if you want to get to somewhere and you can't get there and you fail, that's a bummer with that thing that thought it could get there. But what happens if that failure is seen as not you? It's a great hallelujah, because it tells you something different. Maybe you can't get there because you've never left. Yeah. So maybe you're trying to arrive at where you already are. And obviously, as you're speaking and as I'm answering, I know there's not going to be any you there where you already are. Yes. But this is what happens. Yeah, this is what happens. So this is how the dominoes fell for me. And that's why I share it. And that's why
one of the
if people
problems
here, I'm going to speak if I disagree and stuff, because I have, it's not non-duality, I'm selling cod. And I know, cod doesn't have 8 fins, and cod doesn't have this, and I'm just selling cod, Cod's a fish, I hope to get across. And whatever you're gonna do with the fish is up to you, but I'm not, yeah, I have to be true to how I see it, especially if I'm in a position of sharing it. If I was sitting around with people, I wouldn't be doing anything. They could have their opinion and their experience, but this is valuable to me. It is. And I feel if it's coming from me and someone says they know what's coming from me, I want to be clear and put out what's coming from me. Yeah, and maybe it's not close to what other people are saying or whatever. Maybe there is, I don't know. But yeah, it's just like if I was, just like when you had the phone on, I'm not going to have people looking at their phone doing satsang. Yeah. Or sometimes I'd go to a place and people were eating dinner. I said, you got to stop eating dinner. Yeah. This isn't like a dinner lounge show where you're going to have a little satsang. Just fucking honor the event. A little. Yeah. So same thing in AA. When people, they go on the phone, they're not paying any attention to meeting, then they share for like 15 minutes to grab the whole, everyone, and then they stop sharing, they're on the phone again. And so I will say something to that person after the meeting. I go, listen, bro, why not honor the tradition of this meeting? Pay attention to what's going on here. It's only for an hour. Yeah, this is what I do, do I want to be right? This is something larger than me. This is like, I won't say anything, but if somebody did something towards AA, I'd say fucking something, because AA saved my life as an action figure. And non-duality is in a supreme position in this life. And so when someone comes and starts saying stuff, and they thinking I'm wanting to be right, no, what's speaking, and it may be strong, but it's not, this is not a personal win to a personal wind. It's my sense of this message. And we fool around a lot, but when it comes down to it, I honor it with a large amount of respect. And yeah, I've had too many people tell me what I say. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what I'm saying here, because this is the venue. Yeah, yes. So, and I'm speaking what we call non-duality. You cannot describe non-duality. You cannot experience non-duality. You cannot understand non-duality. You can understand duality. You can understand finiteness because we're in it. We can understand this shit. But you can't understand being, because we're not taking ourselves to be a being. Even though this is a being, we're taking ourselves to be a doer, a thinker, a feeler, a taster, a toucher. Yeah. The verbing has no importance to it. It's the noun. Yeah. And to me, life is a verb. And duality is the loss of interest in light and dark. Throughout, this is the message. You lose interest And maybe that interest will enrich your day instead of enslave it to something else, you know? So I'd like to be right about the Yankees and shit, and my taste in clothes, but I would say it's more righteous than right, because non-duality, what it implies, has great meaning in this life. I've been dancing with it for many, many years, and I just try to tell you how it comes through me by dancing with it. If it's not the way it goes through you, but there is some terminology that has to be clearly understood as about non-duality, which is being ourselves reality, being ourselves reality, not doing or thinking, but being ourselves reality. The greatest mystery is reality wanting to attain reality. This to me is the essence of the message of non-duality. It's the essence of it, literally. Yeah, so how is that going on? Yeah, we can understand that. We can describe it. And if that which can be described is described and heard by the indescribable, it goes somewhere. If it's described to the described, it may die. It may get neutered. Yeah, it may get used for other ends. Yes, but when what we are hears it, man, it's power there. Yeah, and the power doesn't look like I win the battle, I cast out the demons. It's a loss of interest in all that. You're just disarmed, and it's funny, yeah, because today I was armed, yeah, and usually, and for this it's cool, but usually I'm disarmed, yeah, and either way it doesn't matter. So yes, I hope this gets through. I hope when yeah, I just hope it gets through. Yeah.
It's nice of you to hope it gets through.
I do.
It's
I
nice.
mean, this is the, you know, a lot of times when you reach through communication, you don't come back with the fruit, yeah? But it's just the urge to communicate, I hope, to what you are about what you're not. Yes. Yes, all right. Anyone else? So we're gonna say goodbye.
Couldn't raise his hand in a square, he's supposed to share some, they were down
I'm gonna, who, David?
under.
David Strudwick?
Yes.
All right, David, yeah, come on, but we gotta go soon.
Sorry, I'll make it quick, Paul. I haven't got a question.
I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Don't worry about it.
I can't hear you.
Can you unmute,
David?
You're good. No, wait.
unmute it?
Oh, all right, well, listen, we're gonna start saying goodbye. When he comes on, we'll take the question, all right? Mike, thank you. Jacob, as always, nice to see you up there. Sanjay. Julie's on vocals. Martin, nice, it's a good one. Colin Coyle, nice to see you, Colin.
Two.
Yeah. John K,
Two.
as always. Sherry, thanks for saying hello earlier on, Sherry. We can get back to you. Pamela, nice to see you. Have I met you, Pamela, before? I can't hear you. Andre.
You're
Vlad.
muted, Pam.
No, we haven't met. It's so good to
Oh, nice
see
to
you.
meet
And thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, honey. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Andre, Vlad. Oh, Vlad, you're going to be here soon. Vlad's coming over here in 10 days. Yeah, there's some big admirers of Vlad here. I mean,
Hello, Chris.
Vlad. Yeah. There he is. All right, we got Mika. Nice to see you, Mika. Rick Rowe, I got your message. I'll respond. I just remembered you sent me something yesterday. All right? Yeah. David Bitterman, thanks.
Two.
Steve, San Diego, Rico Cruz, Chris B, Holly, Donna, always a pleasure. Nice to have you drop in, honey.
Good to see you, Paul.
Yeah. Om. Yeah. Alan, nice to see you, Alan. Get some others. Roman Mueller, Adrian, nice to see you, Adrian. Zoe, oh, Zoe in Japan. Yeah, Zoe, is you know Zoe. Zoe. Do you see him? Hey, Zoe, nice to see you. Fantastic. Thanks for dropping in. Bill Churchman, pleasure, Bill. Sanjay, Kathleen, nice there.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. Jeremy D, Dennis, Kathy in Cleveland, Esther down near Philadelphia, Steve, Anu in India. Wow. She's not there though. She's just listening. Rai, Paula, Khalil. Thank you, Khalil, for taking that walk with us. Yes?
Thank you, Paul. Thanks.
You're welcome. Christine, Rob, from Jeremy D to everyone, thank you. That's Jeremy. Rob, Fletch, I see Fletch. Hannah, have we met before, Hannah?
No, I've seen a lot of your YouTube videos, but this is my first time coming to a meeting. Thank you.
Oh, great, thanks for coming. Christine Y. Eric Platt, nice to see you. William H. Chell, you're still here. That's good. Nice. Susan, Dennis, Zoe again. Hey, great to see you, Zoe. If I missed you, I apologize. Thank you. Have a good day. Send Bislap the event page. We will be in Temecula January 20th. It should be up there by now, 2 o'clock Saturday. Hey, thanks, Alan Olson, Holly, everyone. Bye-bye.